Welcome back, everybody.
Martin.
All right, Bryan Fibel is going to come up in just a short while once we get everybody back in there. Like I said, we have over 80 people that have been on the room with us, so thank you. I hope the breakout rooms are going fine. And remember, if you're in a breakout room with somebody you know, don't feel bad, just pop back out, and then we'll reassign you to a different breakout room. And in the next half hour, we're going to make a little special announcement about something happening next Monday, next week at 1 o'clock. So it's 2:30. Bryan, if you want to, everybody can, first of all, can everybody please mute themselves so we don't get that feedback issue that we had at the beginning. So Bryan, do you want to share your screen? Are you ready to go?
I'm just talking. So.
Okay, good. So Bryan's going to be doing talking about all our legal hits. It's our third pillar, and this is the legal pillar that we'll be talking about. So if you want to engage with people, again, you have the chat area there for you. So Bryan, I'm going to let you take it over from there. You can put in speaker view if everybody wants to, or just keep in the grid. But Bryan's on for you. Thank you, Bryan.
All right. Good afternoon. Hopefully everyone is enjoying the expo and getting a lot out of it.
Yes,
I heard him. Which is putting anyone's mind on that, but who knows, maybe. And I'm sure a lot of business owners, the other pillars might seem more valuable to build your brand, your networking, marketing, leads, and financials. You can see that ROI. Legal is just an expense, right? You only call a lawyer when you absolutely have to, when something goes wrong. Well, that's not the best way to think about it and not the best approach. So I was a Boy Scout. My sons are in Cub Scouts. I'm the Tiger Den leader for my youngest. And the Boy Scout motto is be prepared. And that's the best way to think about legal for your business. It's why you're supposed to go to a doctor for checkups, right? Eat healthy, take vitamins, take preventative measures rather than let things go and get worse. Be prepared. It's a lot less stress and less costly. You can't prevent everything, but the goal is to be proactive and be in the best position to protect yourself for when something happens. And, let's say someone isn't paying you. And so you call a lawyer and the lawyer says, well, what does the contract say? Well, we don't have a contract. This person has been my customer for years and it's just a handshake agreements. Don't be that business owner. You're disagreeing with your business partner about how to run the business. And so you call a lawyer. And so, well, what do the bylaws say? Well, we don't have bylaws because this is my friend that I started the business with. We went into business together and we said, he puts up the money, I run the day-to-day. Don't be that business owner. Be proactive, be prepared. So most businesses are three kinds: sole proprietorships, LLCs, and corporations. And so sole props are pretty much file with your city, and that's it. LLCs are state filings, and there's lots of benefits, tax benefits to LLCs and corporations. Disclaimer, I'm not a tax person, so talk to your tax person about that stuff. I personally like S Corps, and to me, the tax benefits make it worth paying that $800 California tax that all the LLCs and corporations are required to pay. By the way, do not think that forming a business in another state will allow you to avoid that $800. If you do business in California, and I assume that since this is the North County Business Expo, you do, California is getting that money. And so you're just going to be putting up extra money to form business in another state. So aside from the tax purposes, the big reason for LLCs and corporations, well, it's in the name LLC, and that is limiting liability. So think about the movies. They show a poker game. Person gets in a big hand and they're raising back and forth. The stakes are getting higher, and eventually they start pulling out things from their pockets, right? Like car keys, deed to a house, a Millennium Falcon, whatever they can bet with. Well, that's generally not how it works. So what you have on the table is all you can bet. That's all that's at risk. And that's really how an LLC and corporation are designed to work. The company assets are all that is on the table. That's all that is at risk when you have an LLC or a corporation. Whereas a sole prop, they do not provide that protection for those personal assets. So that's the big legal reason why people form these business entities like LLCs and corporations. But when it comes down to it, a lot of people think that, well, I filed with the state, I'm protected, right? Wrong. You get that protection not just from forming your entity, but for being that entity every day. And if you aren't being that entity, and you're just being yourself, well, you don't get those protections of having the LLC or the corporation. So what courts have done in some situations is when they feel that a person is not acting as their business entity, but acting as themselves, they allow what's called piercing the corporate veil. And that allows someone to go after the owner directly rather than just the entity. Like I said, when you are forming an entity, all you have on the table are those business assets that someone can go after. But if a court says you can pierce the corporate veil, you can go directly after the owners. So what do you need to do as an owner to protect yourself? Well, you need to follow the certain business formalities. And the biggest one is having bylaws or an operating agreement. Bylaws are for corporations, operating agreements are for LLCs. Think of your articles of incorporation or your articles of organization as your company's declaration of independence. The bylaws or the operating agreement are your company's constitution. It's how the corporation is governed. It's the rules, it's the powers, the responsibilities of the shareholders, the members, the officers, the directors, the managers, everyone involved with the company. So the powers and responsibilities. And so you need to have bylaws or an operating agreement, and they should be updated as needed. And you need to, at the very minimum, have annual meetings with meeting minutes to document your meetings, document major decisions, stock or membership ledgers to keep in your, in your office, or some kind of portfolio, internal documentation that says this is a company. It's not just someone running a business as a sole proprietorship. Another major rule is to don't commingle money and assets between business and personal. Separate bank accounts, separate credit cards for business expenses, businesses paying for non-business meals, trips, furniture, all sorts of things. That's a pretty big way to get into trouble as a business owner, and not just for avoiding taxes, but like I said, for personal liability, for anything having to do with the business. And then you want to use your business name on everything. Business cards, invoices, don't make yourself the focus. Sure, as we saw from branding, sometimes you are the focus of your business, your skills, your experience, your knowledge, that's the value of your business. But make sure you're still communicating the business entity. Contracts are with the business entity. Invoices are from the business entity. Another thing a lot of owners may not know is that businesses need to have sufficient capital in them. If you are constantly keeping the business underfunded, well, then the person suing the business has no way to recover anything. So they have to go after the owners. They have no choice because the business bank accounts are empty. So make sure the business has a reasonable amount in the bank accounts, that you aren't just transferring money to your personal account constantly. Because what happens when the business needs to make a purchase? You're just going to have to transfer money back from the personal account to the business to make that purchase. Again, that ties back to the commingling of assets, commingling of money. And it also has to do with the formalities that you want in your bylaws, which actually say distributions from the business to personal accounts occur on these sort of set time schedules, and not just whenever the business receives a paycheck, it just gets transferred directly to a personal account. That's why things like having payroll set up are great ways to show that a business is in fact a business and deserves that protection. Lastly, and hopefully this doesn't apply, sometimes courts will pierce the corporate veil just because the owners, they feel, have done something that's so fraudulent or egregious that the court feels that the owner, the only reason they would do this is that they felt that, well, the business entity is going to protect me. So in sum, those are a lot of the steps that you need to take to make sure that you are protecting yourself through your business entity. Otherwise, like I said, you're not getting that full benefit of filing an entity with the state as having a LLC or a corporation. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk a bit about trademarks, because I know a lot of people were interested to hear about that. One of the things I always very interested is trademarks. And so what are trademarks? Also because it ties into the branding we just heard. So trademarks are one of my favorite things. And trademarks protect brands, right? Trademarks are the names, the logo, the slogans that we see every day. Their purpose is to tell us who the source of the goods and services are. So right away, my kids learned when they saw the Chase logo, it meant we're going to the bank. They saw Target, they knew we were going to the store and that they were going to get a dollar toy from the dollar section. And when they saw the giant yellow M, well, they had no idea what that was because we go to In-N-Out instead. And so the whole point of a trademark is to associate the products or services with the source. You know when you see a product or service who it's being manufactured by because of that logo. So In-N-Out Burger has a quality that I associate with that brand and I don't associate with that M company. And so trademarks have two main values. They inform consumers who are making the choice, trying to determine between which products to choose from. They tell them who is providing that product. And they also protect the reputation of the owner of that trademark to make sure that no one's trading off their good name. You don't want someone going around using your name, using your brand, and delivering a poor service and hurting your reputation, hurting your brand. So going back to what I said before, what is the most important way to protect your trademark? Use it. Put that business name on everything, business cards, invoices, advertisings, websites, the side of your truck that you use that takes your products and services. To quote Frank's Red Hot Sauce, put that on everything and put a TM next to it. You don't need to be registered to put a TM next to your trademark. You need to put an R next to your trademark. You need to be registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, but everyone should put a trademark next to their trademark if they're using it to let people know that this is in fact your trademark and you value it and you don't want anyone else to use it. So I think I ended a little early. Pretty much covered all I want to say. That's it from me. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bryan. Appreciate it. It's always nice that what's the three people that we always have to know is a doctor, a lawyer, and I can't remember the third one. Anybody have a third one? Put it out there. I was a little bit more
probably like a mortician or undertaker.
I was always being a little bit more selfish. I always tell you always have to know a photographer. So that was just so anyways, guys, I appreciate Bryan and thank you so much. I mean, Bryan, we met Bryan on our Tuesday morning cafecito. It's an online networking group that we do every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. I invite everybody here to come and join us if you'd like. It's a free open networking. It's very, very casual. There's no attendance requirements and there's no restrictions on it. It's just come out there and join us and share. But we go after the why, not so much the elevator pitch so much. So